You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive Scottish football content.
You have the heart of a giant, show it. You got the pride of a lion, roaring. Maybe you need big love, you don't need to give up. 'Cause something real is waiting there for you. You've been flying solo, now it's time to let go.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Scottish Women's Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. We've got a different wee spin on the episode this week. Obviously, in the past, since the kind of start of the season, we've kind of been reviewing a lot of the weekend action. We'll still be doing that, obviously, on the roundups that you'll see on the website over the next few days, so stay tuned for that. But we thought we'd have a wee special episode this week. We've crowned our first champions of the season, so we thought we'd get the manager and a player from the FC Edinburgh side to congratulate them on their SWF League One victory, obviously clinching the league and cup double. So without further ado, it's a pleasure first of all to welcome the manager of FC Edinburgh to the show. It's a pleasure, Andy Enwood.
Thanks for having us, Scott. It's Andy.
Andy.
Didn't go too formal. It's only that if my mother's giving me a row.
So thanks very much, Andy. And it's a pleasure to welcome on to the show one of the star players of FC Edinburgh, Deborah McLeod. Deborah, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'll take that.
Try my best. A lot, obviously, kind of to talk about from your season. A league and cup double. It's always good to get that under your belt after a really good season. But Andy, I'll start with you. Like, obviously, it's been a bit of a journey in the past couple of seasons with the side. Obviously, like last season, with the way the kind of championship and things like that worked out, regional, it's now been made more of a kind of a league across the whole kind of region as well, across the whole of Scotland. There's a lot of places going to, like Dundee and Grampian, for example. To get it more into that kind of league and to win it, obviously, by such a good distance, it must be a great way to end the season.
Look, we're obviously delighted to get over the line and win the league and get promotion. I think the biggest thing was that we've managed to rebuild the squad and challenge at the same time, which I think is a very difficult thing to do, and I think that's probably what the biggest credit to the players has to be. I took over the team last season for their final game of the season, and it's a very different place now. We struggled to just get a team in the park that day, and so the transformation has been huge. But as I say, that transformation has come at the same time as competing and then obviously going on and winning the league. So I think the players have to take massive credit because that's a very difficult thing to do at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Deborah, look, we spoke off air obviously about the kind of team spirit and the culture at the club just now, and Andy obviously came in at the end of last season, and that first season going through that kind of rebuild, and a lot, like as I say, you've won the league really well. What's it been like in the changing room to get kind of players in and build that kind of team unit that's went on to win the league so well?
Yeah, just to build on what Andy said, obviously it was building from scratch, and I don't want to make his head too big here, but it's down to a culture that Andy's built. I think he's brought in the right kind of players. He's set standards, and this, like, the minimum standard is 100% from every player, and I think that plays a massive part in the respect we have for each other, and everything's about playing for each other. And I said to you before we went on air there, like, I've been in a few great teams, but I've never been in a team where the entire team is a unit. Like, there is no groups here or there. Like, everything is done together, and it just shows on the pitch and then how successful we've been. So yeah.
And Andy, like, obviously, like with the club as a whole, like in the past couple of seasons, you've seen a lot of strides made in both the men's and the women's teams to kind of move forward as a club, like the name change and things like that. And it does obviously reflect just how much of a job's been done behind the scenes. Like, what would you kind of say about that? Like how the kind of infrastructure's changed in the past season?
Well, I think that the committee behind the scenes have been essentially, they've kept to their word. When I met them before I took the team over, we had some conversations about what was achievable, the parameters of what was able to be provided by the club, and I think the best thing about those chats were they were realistic, and I knew they were realistic at the time, and there was nothing that was just being said for something to be said sake, and it was never going to happen. So the committee at FC Edinburgh, it's entirely volunteer led. Across the men's and the women's side, it's a very small group of people, but they are an extremely hard-working group of people, and they've given me personally nothing but support to make sure that we can provide the best environment possible, and the facilities that we have, the training kit, the playing kit, the fact that the girls don't have to pay to play. That is a huge cost and a huge undertaking by the club. So they must take massive credit as well for doing that, for investing in their women's side, and obviously giving me the opportunity to come in and try and get things right on the field stuff.
Deborah, like, before we're going to get into the season as a whole, like, obviously, like we spoke there about the kind of culture at the club and the change in infrastructure. Like, it's one thing when you go to Edinburgh, it's a really good facility. Obviously, Meadowbank, it's been really well done the past few years. How impressed have you been with the club's infrastructure and their ambition towards the women's game?
Yeah, it's night and day. I think probably from a lot of the teams in our league. When you're playing in a league, obviously League One is a competitive league, but there is then Championship, SWPL 2, SWPL 1. You see the investment going into those clubs. You know, the better they do. So it is a big step, and it is well appreciated. And I think the girls try and make that known as much as possible. To have the facilities that we do have, we know we're lucky, and yeah, no, it's great. Every time you come up on a Sunday, into Meadowbank, the changing rooms are brilliant, good size. You can get a lot of tactics done on the board, stuff like that, and then you go out, and even the pitch itself, it's just really great to play on. I think that has had an impact on the players, like enjoying it as well. They're coming into a good environment. Everyone's happy. Like, you're not going into a cold, damp changing room. Do you know what I mean? Like, it does make a difference. So, not as well appreciated and well noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start with, obviously, Andy talking about the kind of pre-season and things like that, and we'll kind of link Deborah as well into this. Like, with players like Deborah, who are obviously like really good experience and obviously really good at on the park as well. Like, how important was it to get a kind of basis for them and get a structure in place for going into the season when you started this year?
Well, as I said, when I first joined the club, it was relatively soon after that we found out that we were going to be going into the League One as opposed to being in the Championship. I'd essentially had a one-to-one with every single player that had been in the previous squad, and then we found that news out. So that changed a couple of minds, and we were left with quite a small number of players left, and so it was very difficult at the beginning, just trying to put a team on the park, how we were going to maximise those strengths and be competitive. But I've been there before, and it's just you just have to take time. And there was players I could have brought in very, very quickly, but I don't think they would have been the right players for this particular team at that particular moment. And so I think there's always has to be an element of luck in your recruitment and getting players that you want at the right time. And have a look at the case of Debs. I mean, I didn't really know Debs as a player before I came to Edinburgh. She played a little bit for the team in the previous season, and I'd reached out and I'd said, "Look, can we just give me the time for a chat and let me speak to you." She was good enough to do that, and then all I asked her to do was just to give it a chance. And if it didn't work out, she didn't enjoy it, she didn't like me, fine, but at least you've given it a chance. And obviously, I'm extremely delighted that she did give it the chance. And so I think there's always an element of luck in terms of your recruitment, but once we manage to get players on board, I think it's just about trying to create the best environment possible and just put a plan in place. This is how we're going to play. that's changed as the seasons went on. But initially, here's how we're doing things. This is your role with the ball. This is your role without the ball. Now go and play within those parameters. And I'd like to think that the players enjoy that sort of sense of clarity, and that's just helped us push on. And as the seasons went on, we've added one or two as we've went, and we've started to change the way we play a little bit. And I just think we're in a really good place just now, but there's still plenty of work to do.
Deborah, like, obviously, when it comes to pre-season, I don't think I'll ever speak to a football player and they'll say pre-season was easy, but what was it kind of like for you this year?
Do you know, see, to be fair, it's actually a really funny question, because by the time Andy had all these one-to-one meetings and he had managed to get a squad together, scraped the squad from the barrel, I think we only had, how many? It was like 2 weeks or something, or 3 weeks of pre-season.
Pretty much.
And it does speak volumes about the standards that Andy set, because I have never ever been at my fittest, I don't think. And then Andy had me for three weeks at pre-season, and then it was just a kickstart to something completely different. No one enjoys pre-season, but that's when I knew that I wanted to stay at the club, because of the work rate that was demanded from every player. Pre-season's pre-season. It is what it is. You're not going to enjoy it, but it's changed me. It changed me as a player in 3 weeks. Like, it made me want to be fitter, and it made me want to be better for the team that Andy was building. So it was quite pivotal, actually, for me.
When you look at obviously the season as a whole, 24 games so far, 22 wins, 2 draws, 0 defeats. But what really impresses me about that is the goal difference, Andy, a plus 97s. And when you look at obviously score lines, when I'm kind of looking at games and looking at kind of score lines and things like that, a lot of the goals that you have come late second half. So there is that is there that mentality of just go and get as many goals as possible? The game's never finished. Is that what you've kind of noticed this year? Because there's a lot of 6-0s, 10-0s in there. There's a few really impressive results, but there's a lot of kind of second half goals where it seems to be just go and get as many goals as possible.
There's probably a couple of coaches that I've known for a number of years in the game that might be surprised by some of that. I think they've got the wrong idea about me as a defensive coach, so they'll probably have a wee chuckle when they see some of the goals that we've scored. No, I think that we've tried to implement a particular way of playing, and I think that most teams, or almost every team, will do. You try and put a way in place, and we try and run particular movements. We try and get into particular areas, and if you actually analyse the goals that we've scored, a lot of them are very, very similar, and that's not by chance. That's by a lot of hard work. That's by a lot of repetition. That's by the players taking on board points. That's by being relentless and consistent in training every single week and in the matches themselves. So the number of goals we've scored has come down to hard work, and obviously at the same time there has to be the element of the individual execution, the individual ability. So it's one thing getting into the areas, but you then have to make sure that you put the ball in the back of the net. And yet there's been some games where we have done that, and to be honest, there's some games that we could have scored even more. So yeah, I think it's just down to the way we've tried to put the ball in the back of the net, and that those particular ways, are they going to work next year in the championship? Well, we'll find out if we can, or if we have to adapt, or maybe there'll be if there's any player movement in the squad, then maybe the player strengths will always dictate in how you attack and how you try and score your goals. So that's something we're obviously going to find out as we go on. But yeah, I've been really happy with the number of goals that we've scored. But I'll take the opportunity to praise the team as a whole and their work and their work ethic and their organisation, that we have players in the right place, that even when we're going forward, if we lose the ball, a lot of the time we're able to get it back very quickly. And again, that's not just by chance or by luck, that's by hard work, and that's by consistently trying to move into the correct places when we don't have when we are attacking, so that if we do lose it, we're able to get it back straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. Deborah, when you look at the league, obviously there is a lot of really good sides in it, and there's a lot of kind of players with a lot of experience. How impressed have you kind of been with the standard of the league, and obviously coming up against different teams every week? How's it kind of been for you?
I think, well, what I didn't realise in the league, there's a lot of players that I've played against previously throughout my like football career. So like Suzanne Wyatt, who's scoring every week for Falkirk. I played with her at Partick Thistle. So I mean, you're coming against some of your opponents you're coming against are all they've got Premier League experience. So I know it's there you know you're going into a game sometimes. So if you're going in against Falkirk, you know the players to look out for. Some well recognised names, but then again you look at our squad. You've got Amy Lynch, who's been playing for I don't know how long in the Premier League, her whole career. So I know there's quite a bit of quality, I think, in League One, individually and as a team.
Obviously, a big kind of hell in the ball was winning the Championship and League One Cup, and it was a difficult run. There was a lot of really competitive games, but to get that first trophy and obviously being a really good position for the league at that time, it must have been a massive boost to get that trophy in the cabinet.
Again, obviously, it was great. The main objective was to make sure that we did our best to get back up to the Championship. But the message throughout the cup was, one, we absolutely wanted to win it. But two, if we want to go into the Championship next year, then here's a chance to prove that you're capable of playing against the teams in that league. And I think that it was a good opportunity for us to play teams in the Championship on a number of occasions, and ultimately we've come out on top. I think some of the games, Morton went to extra time, obviously the cup final, extra time and penalties, but what it showed was that we're able to compete at that level, and that's something that we'll obviously look to build on as we go on, and that was obviously halfway through the season. We've improved since that cup winning since December, so the bare minimum is that we'll be very competitive, and obviously we have that aim of trying to win it.
What were the occasions like, Deborah? Obviously the semi-final against Ayr at Airdries Park, and then beating Driver in penalties in the final at, I think it was Allows Park, wasn't it? It was a massive occasion, obviously, for the club, but for yourself as well to get another medal. It must be a massive achievement.
Yeah, no, definitely it is, and the way it was, I think it's the way that it was won is the best. Like you've got this team that had to build from scratch, and they really want to be competing in the Championship this league, but just due to like circumstances we're not there. So yes, we're having to go from the bottom, and again, just a group of girls that are in the squad. There's no like egos in the squad. Everyone is like a whole. So to go through that journey, like every stage was just a great way to win. Even against Morton, like you're fighting to the last minute, really, in extra time against a team that's above you in the league. Probably playing better opposition every week, just the way the leagues are. So to fight for that and get through, and then again going to Ayr and playing Ayr and beating another Championship side, and even playing some like good football through the way, like throughout it. Just it's everything, as Andy said. You're constantly working and training on certain movements. You're lucky if you get through a Wednesday night and Andy's not sent you a text with like a breakdown of everything that's been covered at training Wednesday night. And if you don't study that, then you'll be sorry. So it's just it's great to win it the way we're winning it, and just trying to keep expectations at a ideal level, and then once we win, go on and celebrate that.
And how key is that consistency as well? Obviously balancing a lot of the kind of, like when you've got a cup competition like that you obviously want to win, you're testing yourself against teams at higher level. How hard is it when you're going in that kind of unbeaten run to balance that consistency?
Consistency is incredibly hard to find. It's down to the players that you've got, and it's down to their attitudes, and it's down to their willingness to buy into what we're trying to achieve. And probably anybody that was sitting in this seat is probably going to say it about their players when you have such a season as we have. But the players' willingness to work every single training session is the reason why where we are. Their consistent work rate, their attitude, their application, we were fortunate enough to win the league last week, and then we play yesterday, and the 2 training sessions before that leading up to it, you wouldn't have known that we'd won the league. There was no complacency. It was in, it's next, it's job done. And obviously the girls have to celebrate what they've achieved, and I know that they did, and there'll still be a few more opportunities to come over the next few months before we sort of get back at it properly. But if you want to win, which is what we want to do, we're at first team level, you have to have consistency, and I think that's the reason why we've done what we've done, and we've managed to do that better than anybody else. And that's not being arrogant, that's not being big-headed about ourselves as a team, the squad, but it's proven by the number of goals we've scored, the number of goals that we've conceded, and these things don't happen by chance, they happen by hard work on a consistent basis, and that's something that personally I've always sort of worked that way, I've always felt that way, and but you have to have players who are open to buying into that, and I've got a group of players that are right through the entire squad, from those that are playing most minutes every week to those that obviously are not getting as much game time as they would like, and that's, you cannot underestimate the players who are not getting on the pitch. It'd be easy to chuck the toys out the pram, but these girls are knocking their pan in every week, and that makes the training so much more intense and so much more high level, which just improves everybody in the team. So there'll be a couple of girls in the squad, if they watch this, I'll be getting it tight for using this word consistency, because I say it all the time, but it is the key to success in my book, and the girls have done it, and it's going to be the same message next season as well.
Yeah, Deborah, it's obviously been a really good season winning the League and Cup. Would the one disappointment be maybe just the Scottish Cup run, obviously losing to Hutchie Vale in extra time? Would that be the one kind of you would say that would maybe be would you kind of look at that and go like that's the one disappointment of a really good season?
Yeah, no team wants to get beat at any point in any competition. I mean, I'm not going to say we would have went on to win the treble, but it's disappointing to lose. It just, that game, it just wasn't our type of game. It's like, it was no excuses, but you lose. But it just wasn't our type of game, wasn't to be that day. Disappointing. You want to go as far as you can in the cup run, but we had our mind focused on the league and the League Cup. So pretty content with that.
And moving forward, obviously, kind of just sealing the league the way you did, like a lot of really impressive results. And last week, what was that kind of feeling like, just to get over the line and clinch the title for yourself as well? Like, obviously, from a personal point of view, that obviously you'll have taken it as a kind of project at the start of the season. To see it kind of coming to life, winning 2 trophies in your first season, must have been one of the best feelings you've had in football.
Everybody wants to win, and I've always said these things as well. It's hard to win football matches, never mind put a good string of victories together to win cups and leagues. So no, absolutely, I'm maybe possibly on the day in West I didn't maybe show too much emotion in terms of being excited about it, but trust me, inside I want to win. I love winning, and to win with the group of people we have is great. It's just winning is just, I just think sometimes people can really underestimate how difficult it is to win, and I said to the girls on many a times the number of teams that entered the cup that we won. I think if I'm right in saying 18 teams, you've come out on top. We have a league of 12 teams, we've come out on top. Now again, that can easily change, and we win nothing in the future. But you have to realise that it's a small percentage, and if you look at all 4 leagues in the competitive system of the women's football, only 1 team in each league is winning that. Now, obviously, that's the case, but it's such a few people win, such a few people walk away with a medal, and that's what makes any winning such a big achievement in my book. The girls have absolutely deserved it, but the job is on. We need to now go and continue to go and build on this. We're not interested in just winning this league. We want to get up to the very top league, as every single team does. So the challenge is going to be very difficult. Some very, very good teams in the championship, some very good coaches in the championship that we're going to come up against. So, but that makes winning even better when you're having to pit your wits against good challenges as players, as coaches, and if you come out on top, then you deserve it.
Deborah, like we heard there, obviously Andy's view personally of winning the title. Like I know as a team, you've been probably had a really good celebration that night. I don't know if you want to get into the full details of it, but it would have certainly been a good occasion. But just to get that kind of league over the line, like how was that feeling?
Do you know, winning the cup was really, really good. Like winning the League Cup was great. But there was something different about the game at Westdyke. Everyone was just really like cool, calm, and collected. Like up until that point, and then even after the game, everyone was pretty like cool and calm. Later on, maybe a bit different. It's easy to say that not one of us can hold a tune between us, and karaoke should be never allowed ever again as a team. But it's just we set out to get promoted. Like Andy's come in, built this team. We've worked hard week in, week out. Like it is after we play on a Sunday, on a Monday, it's just restart. Like we go again. So winning the league, that was probably one of my favourite moments this year, because that's us. We set out to do something, we've done it, and we just want to go again.
And they obviously like winning the league is, especially with winning the league, like maybe like with a few games left to go. Do you maybe not? You hope certainly that there isn't a drop in performance, but to see yesterday, like for example, winning 7-1 at home, just keeping that run going, that it shows you that there's with the girls there's a lot of still kind of ambition to just kind of get as many points as possible. It must be pleasing to see that there's still that good attitude after wrapping it up.
I'll go back to that word consistency. As we won the league and in 2 training sessions leading up to yesterday's game, and then we put in a performance that allows us to score that many goals. Really, really happy, and well, I won't allow the players to take the foot off the gas, but I think as we ever evolve and keep improving as a team, then the need for me to do that becomes less, and the players themselves are able to make sure that doesn't happen. And so, look, at the same, we have to be mindful as well that there's a second place up for grabs, and the results against us can obviously be impactful in these teams going up, but at the same time, I really that's really not my concern. It's not the players' concern. Our job is to go out and just keep playing and winning, because as much as we've achieved the goal of winning the league, we're not starting a new season going into the championship. We're continuing the work that we're doing. So we're talking about doing things now that we're going to need to be doing in the championship. So it's just a case of keeping the train rolling. And when you've got such a competitive squad as we have, then there can be no rest, because your place is at stake, and players want to play, and players are always pushing to play. So players know that they can't take their foot off the gas, but we're only interested in ourselves, and the consistency, as I keep going on about, is the key, and we hope that we can manage to do that over the final remaining 3 games, and I'm pretty confident that the girls will do that.
Deborah, like 3 games left, and that unbeaten run is still going really strong. How good would it be to end the season as an invincible? And it must be in your head though. I know obviously like standards and like the standards Andy set and that, but it must be in your head that 3 games away from a really, really good season, it must be in your mind that this could be potentially an amazing way to end the season with these 3 games left.
Of course, yeah, but every team wants to win. You never ever want to lose. If you had told me at the start of the league that we would be 3 games away and we hadn't been defeated once, I would have taken that. But just the way we are as a team now, the mentality. Don't get me wrong. If something happens and we do get beat, it's not going to affect our season. It's not going to affect us as a team. It's just something we'll just have to build. Again, after we'd have to work on what happened there, but just take every game as it comes. Of course, you want to be invincibles, but we need to win the next game first.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, like before we kind of wrap up the show, like there was a lot of a chat, obviously. I don't know how much you'd have been aware of potentially where he's going to go up. I know there was a lot of people I was talking to behind the scenes, and I don't think there was a lot of knowledge of what was happening. Like now obviously we spoke off air that yous are going up. Like how good was it to get the kind of red tape kind of cut off with that, and how excited are you to progress going forward?
I'm very aware of a lot of chat that was going on. Like if anybody that knows me is that I don't like to leave many things to chance. So we knew the situation a year ago, and over that entire year, things have been put in place to make sure that we go up. There'll be an announcement in the next couple of days to sort of clarify exactly what is happening. But essentially, there's a partnership, and that is a partnership that has already over this season allowed young players in the youth game to come up to first team level, to train on a regular basis, to come and train in a safe environment, to come and just dip their toes in the women's game, to see what's ahead of them, and there'll be further mutual benefits for the younger players in the club as well. So yeah, look, imagine winning a league. Imagine winning a league potentially, and it's a big potential here because there's 3 games to go. But imagine winning a league and you didn't lose, and then you weren't allowed to go up. As I say, if anybody that knows me, that wasn't going to be allowed to happen. So there'll be lots of chat about it. There'll be some speculation about it. There'll be comments about it. But I really didn't care. The only thing that matters when you're building a club, when you're building a partnership, is the people that are at ground level, the people that are behind the scenes, and the people at both clubs are extremely happy. They're extremely happy with what's going to happen in the future. They're extremely happy with what's happening now, and ultimately it is the best interests of the girls at Edinburgh and at the partnership club that we'll announce in the next couple of days. There'll be cynics. I can appreciate that, but as I say, I don't care. The people behind the scenes at both clubs have done power of work to make this happen. There's been multiple benefits already to the girls, but who are the main thing on both sides, and that'll continue to happen. So yeah, it's great that it's finally done, and yeah, then it means that we can move into the championship. But yeah.
Before we wrap up, Deborah, it's your turn to be put on the spot, and I'm not always confident how well received this could be, but like when we put players on the spot to stick in their fellow teammates, how do you feel about it?
I can't wait. Cannot wait.
Can't wait. There are obviously potential here to get some controversy started, which I always like on here, but are you ready here to be put on the spot? Are you ready to stick some of your teammates in?
Always.
Andy, if you feel that Deborah, that there's a different answer to Deborah, please chip in, because I'm interested to see what the dressing room's like. There's a few questions. We'll start with the first one. Best trainer.
This is actually a really, really tough question to start on, because as I've said throughout the interview, everyone trains so well. Like, it's so hard to pick people out. I was stuck. I'm probably stuck with Liv Murphy, Nick Rutherford. How do you feel about that, Andy?
I think those 2 people you've identified are good candidates. I think you're maybe being modest about yourself as well. I think your work rate in training is outstanding, and is a real role model and level for everyone else to follow. So, but as you said, there are many candidates. There really are. Easy to say, but we have a lot of girls who just work so hard. They work so hard.
Who's the most skillful?
Definitely me. No, I'm kidding. Most skillful, I'd probably have to. Emma Mitchell's got some good tricks up her sleeve, but I think most technically skilled player must be Amy Lynch. the girl can just get out of any situation. The ball just sticks to her feet. I have no idea how she does it.
I think that I might be getting the phrase wrong here, but keeping the ball off an octopus in a phone box, something like that. Like I've known Amy for a number of years, and she used to give me heart attacks back in the day at Hearts doing Cruyff turns in the 6-yard box, in her own 6-yard box. But what a technician of the ball, unbelievable.
Who's the funniest character in the dressing room?
Oh, they're all boring. Nah. The funniest, probably Elsie, probably Andy's little girl. She's probably the funniest character. I don't know, if you had to go straight on dance moves, it would have to be Dan Forsyth. Her dancing is hysterical. She can take that one.
Maybe a similar linking to the dancing. Who's got the best music taste?
None of them.
None. I would like to see myself this one, because I'm a bit of a Swiftie, and I think they're all closet Swifties. I think they all like a bit of Taylor, but they just deny it. The music sense in the change room is unbelievably varied. Definitely not Ellie Crawford anyway.
I've got to be honest, obviously, when you said there about when I was writing down best music taste, I didn't know about the karaoke. So next question, what's the karaoke song?
Oh, mate, this is where you're going to question my music sense, because this is not a song that I would encourage anyone to listen to. But Paris Hilton, Stars Are Blind, that was my karaoke song. But no, many songs were murdered that night.
Brilliant.
Many.
Brilliant. Who's the quickest?
Jaden Simmons, all day. All day.
Who's the slowest?
Well, no, since I've said that she's really skilled and technically great, I'm going to have to go with Amy Lynch.
Who do you think is the teacher's pet? Who's the player who seems to want Andy's approval more than anybody?
That's probably that's definitely me. I'm a bit of a teacher's pet, I think. I mean, I'm here. the manager having a chat. I don't know. I think the whole team everyone tries to give Andy a bit of stick where they can. So it's a hard one. Probably me.
Andy, would you go along with that?
I don't know the teacher's pet. I can probably tell you the person I give the most stick to. That's easier. My missus is always giving me it tight for the noise that I give Emma Mitchell, an absolutely fantastic football player, but she gets it tight for me a lot, and I'm always in the house with the missus getting absolute dog's abuse for her for giving her it tight. So it's not a teacher's pet, but a fantastic football player. I just I'm running out of rockets to put up her backside. But aye, so no the question that you asked, but that's my answer.
This is the final question, and I'm keen to get both your thoughts on this. Who do you think's in the dressing room the most likely, Deborah, to be a manager in the future?
It's got to be Niamh Fellinger. That girl just does not exit coach mode, I don't think, ever. Every time I see her, she's running to a game in a Hibs badge because she's been coaching the young ones, and then comes straight to football. Every time I speak to her at training, she's telling me about coaching the young ones. So I think she's always got her coaching brain on. Don't know if you agree, Andy. Any other candidates?
I could see Niamh getting into management. I could probably, I don't know, I could maybe see you. I think you've got quite an inquisitive mind about the game. You ask a lot of questions. Maybe you don't fancy it, but you certainly come across that way. I'll tell you who it's not going to be. It's Liv Murphy. Because when we went down to take one of the youth sessions, she froze, and she'll not be getting invited back with me. I was delighted that she turned up to collect the balls, but she'll not be getting a chance to coach again. She had a shocker, I think. But Niamh and Debs, I think. Niamh and Debs.
I'll take that.
Brilliant. Quickly, obviously, Deborah, Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure to be both on the show. But just I'll ask you both the same question. How do you feel about the future, kind of hopes and expectations going forward for the club? Promotions clinches are going to be playing championship football. Deborah, you must be excited for next season already.
Yeah, definitely. This year's been great. It's been, learning every single session, every single game, learning something new. It's going to be exciting to go into a more challenging chapter probably for the team. But again, I think it's just going to push us on even further. I'm genuinely really excited to see where this team's going to go in years to come.
Brilliant. Andy, yourself as well, obviously, it's the next year will be another step in the project. How do you must already be feeling that already, must already be putting plans in place for the progress next season?
Yeah, as every team's doing, they're thinking about the here and now, but they're thinking about ahead. We play our 3 games left. Girls will have a couple of weeks off. Within that time, we'll carry out our 1-to-1s and we'll find out what the players want. And obviously, maybe I'll get some home truths. Maybe they'll not want to stay. But I think that we've built an environment that people want to come and want to stay. So I can't see a massive amount of player movement. I think there's definitely scope for us to bring another couple in to just boost us even further as we go into the championship. But we'll find all that out over due course. But absolutely, already thinking we've still got a job to do now. But in the background, we're making plans for next year already and how we can try our best to deal with the challenges that are going to be there and be as competitive as we can.
It's been an absolute pleasure for you both on. First of all, Deborah, thank you very much and congratulations on winning the league.
Thanks very much, Scott. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
And Andy, best of luck going forward. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show and congratulations again.
Oh, thanks for having us on, and we probably not just me, but the other teams in League One as well. It's great to have the league being on social media and having exposure for the teams and the players and stuff like that. So thank you for the time that you take to do it.
Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much as well to everyone that's tuned in. Please subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. We'll be back next week with a new show. And as always, follow our social media pages for consistent women's football coverage. We'll see you all soon. Cheers.